I have been listening to a lot of political news and watching a lot of political YouTube videos wherein many of the commentaries declare that there is no chance that Donald Trump supporters can be reached or swayed. I am dismayed and somewhat amazed at the defeatist attitude of Donald Trump's opponents. I would like to offer a different view. First of all, Donald Trump supporters are human beings, and while a significant number of them are non-degreed rural white Americans, I consider that the majority of them are people of reasonable intelligence. It is very disconcerting to me when I hear comments that Donald Trump supporters are incapable of listening to reason. The common talking point is that he has a solid base and they're going to be for him regardless of what he does. When I hear these things, I think that this is such a limited point of view. I personally would like to reach out to the people who support Donald Trump. I would like to say to them that we are all citizens of the United States of America and that the continued success of our nation depends on how well we work together. To the followers of Donald Trump, I would like to say that I am concerned when I see you having sworn your allegiance to an individual who you and I both see conducting behavior that is not keeping with the role of a public servant. Once upon a time, rural white America and the white evangelicals had the reputation of being good, honest, and wholesome people. Your newly declared allegiance to false conspiracy theories and your embrace of Donald Trump has exposed you as being dedicated supporters of blatant dishonesty, an accused rapist and fraud, the denigration of our soldiers, outspoken racial hatred, demonizing the Jews, African Americans, and Latinos, and an open assault on the Constitution of the United States of America. I urge each one of you to take a long look in the mirror, because this is what the rest of the world see when they look at you now. These conspiracy theorists and the self-seeking politicians have profiled you. They recognize that if they illuminate the fact that people of color are rising in areas of technology, education, science, and industry, that you would feel less than. The term "Make America Great Again" is designed to play on these feelings. An African American president was easily employed as a focal point to infuriate you. You have been played by some very greedy and determined con artists. They communicate with each other about how they need to fashion their message to seduce your minds. Listen closely to their conversation. You will see that there is a well-orchestrated delivery. They position themselves at the end of the rainbow, offering you a path to return to prominence. The choice that you have been given is to serve their interest, and they will kill all of your antagonists. This is called a sucker pitch. Please start fact-checking everything they say now and make sure that the people who are selling you the farm really own the lease. Because the people that I've observed appear to be to Bitcoin artists. I do not say this with the intent to offend you, but hopefully to jar you a little bit, to get you to think outside the box. I have spent a considerable amount of time researching the conspiracy theorist movement that encompasses the vast majority of Donald Trump's base. I know that many of you are following Donald Trump because he promotes the very conspiracy theories that have been aimed directly at you by a so-called secret entity called Q, the far right-wing talk show host. And if I may slip a joke in here, the state-sponsored news agency. I have listened well to their narratives and to their conspiracy theories. I fact-check them. Rarely do I find their claims to be accurate. I find that they take a piece of the truth and layer it up with absolute dishonesty. A significant part of their message to you centers around stoking the flames of racial hatred by disproportionately reporting crimes committed by people of color. According to the Justice Department's data, approximately 90% of all violent crimes committed against white people are by white people. This holds true for African Americans, Latinos, Asians, Indians, and Native Americans. These conspiracy theorists continue to blame all of the social and economic problems of the United States of America on the Jews, also known as Deep State. They are very crafty as to how they deliver this false narrative. Ultimately, their message divides us and inspires us to fear one another. I get that being part of something that's big and exciting and energetic makes an otherwise normal life go to the next level. It's almost hypnotic, which is the exact method that I see being practiced. Hypnotism and mind programming. The constant chanting of a narrative hypnotizes the human mind. Being a part of a big social movement can make life worth living. Just look at the Black Lives Matter movement. Look at the many different social movements around the world in different cultures, wherein people are caught up in a relentless fight for a cause. They become driven by an idea that is usually a good idea, especially when it is an idea of change to a better way. There would be no United States of America if a group of individuals did not commit themselves to an idea of independence from the British Crown. They saw it through, even though it meant the sacrifice of many lives that we could be free. I can see the promise of change to a better way being a part of your movement. I thoroughly understand what it means to achieve goals when you're part of a social movement. I can still feel the smell and taste and excitement of the civil rights movement. I was just a boy in the 1960s when great gains were made and assassinations had been committed against those who championed the movement. It was an all-engulfing, and it made me feel like I was part of the rest of the world. I reflect on that movement in time as I observe what you are experiencing now. For a couple of months now, I've taken a deep dive in researching the various aspects of the QAnon conspiracy theory movement. I have found that many of the followers are people who are, by definition, white supremacists. To these individuals, I would very much like to reach out to you and say that despite all of the vicious rhetoric, I only view you as being my brother. For you see, early on in my spiritual journey, I tried to understand unconditional love for all people and how to apply it to my life. I actively sought out all related texts and engaged those who were more knowledgeable than myself on the topic in conversation. I learned as much as I possibly could about unconditional love. What I learned most of all is that it was going to be an ongoing learning experience for the rest of my life, and that I can appreciate. My spiritual journey to learn as much as I could about unconditional love led me to obtaining an understanding about who we are as a species. I accept the empirical evidence that out of one seed came all humans. Again, if I may reiterate, that makes you my brother, my sister, my aunt, my uncle, my niece, my nephew, and sons and daughters. It simply does not matter what color your skin is, what language you speak, the God you worship, or where your group settled in the world after the Great Migration out of Africa. Over time, we settled into different parts of the world. We changed in appearance and behavior as a result of an occurrence called adaptation, but we remain genetically linked. 99.99% of our DNA is identical across the board. We are one species. We are one family, the human family. I view all people as being members of my own family. This is the truth that I am able to stand before the world. I don't care who the person is standing before me, even if they are expressing feelings of anti-other sentiment for people who are different from themselves. Martin Luther King told us that each person's destiny is inextricably bound to the next person's destiny, and that our journey throughout the time continuum is connected and dependent upon the success of each other. I realize that in this current political environment, the loud-talking conspiracy theorists are drumming and chanting a narrative of divisiveness. They challenge the benefits and they challenge the beliefs and the information that I just put before you. They speak of you as being some sort of separate species and that all the world is against you, and you have got to strike back and band together to fight against the rest of the entire world. I want you to consider the source of these conspiracy theories. What are their motives? Are they really the kind of people who look upon you and embrace you as being their equal? My deep dive research revealed a profile of con artists and selfish, self-seeking individuals who are in it for their own personal goals and aspirations. They do not in any way, shape, or form regard you as being anything other than a con man's mark, an opportunity, an end to their means. I wish that you would conduct the same research of these conspiracy theorists that I have. I believe that you will begin to see them for who they really are. I believe that you will reconsider the supreme value of connecting with all others. There are things that are wrong in the world, and there are many things that are good and just. Each of us must do our part to make life a better place for all. I have to do my part. I have to stand for something or fall for everything. That is my charge. Going forward, we are oftentimes totally oblivious to the fact that we are all living on the same planet. When I was in high school in the early 70s, the population of the world was 3.14 billion people. Now, in the year 2020, the population of the world is 7.8 billion people. We have more than doubled the world's population in less than 50 years. We are also using up the Earth's non-replenishable resources at an alarming rate. The non-replenishable resources that are being depleted are vital to our continued survival. Eventually, we are going to have to marshal all of the resources and band together to obtain resources beyond the boundaries of this planet. I believe that we can and will, because the ultimate destiny of humanity is the advancement of civilization. Now let's deal with this deep state, your code word for the Jews. Your conspiracy theorists have placed deep state at the heart of their false conspiracy theories. This group of people who have been highly successful in the areas of global banking, business, science, producing entertainment, and owning news medias around the world, and a variety of other areas at a top level. These people leverage influence over the economic and political establishments of many countries. This is true. The conspiracy theorists take a piece of the truth and layer it over with carefully devised lies. They use some very crafty language and misinformation to seduce your mind into thinking that this core group of people are out to get you and enslave you. They even tell you to refer to yourself as slaves. This group of people, or deep state, if you will, have maintained a powerful influence throughout the world for centuries. So I get your deep state fixation, but I believe that it is important for us to realize that their successful global presence is not a result of some demonic force, but rather it is a result of having dedicated themselves to achieving high goals. It is also important to note that the world has been on a path of continual advancement from the beginning, and we will continue on this path as long as we exist. Every culture has played a role in bringing forth all of the modern advances that facilitates our lives today. I respectfully ask that you refrain from demonizing this group of highly successful people. I do not consider them to be the custodians of civilization in no way, shape, or form. I do not consider them to be dictators of my consciousness either, because they are not. I encourage you to embrace another way of thinking. Please consider that when we raise our level of consciousness above that of our oppressor, we will no longer be oppressed. We will be free to determine our own destiny. I was an athlete in my younger days. Win or lose, you stand and shake the opponent's hand. I am conditioned against holding animosities towards any human being on this earth because of their success. Ironically enough, these false conspiracy theories are guiding you on a path that will ultimately lead to your own destruction. The conspiracy theorists have seduced your minds by declaring that everybody in the world is evil except you. I believe that they may have taken a page out of the world's religious doctrines that decrees the only good people are the ones who practice my beliefs. Their narrative guides you to devalue all others who do not subscribe to their rhetoric. When you devalue others, you tend to treat them less than. Is this really who you are and who you want to be? I really encourage you to take a closer look at these conspiracy theorists. What are their purposes, goals, and aspirations? Are they sincere in their opposition to this deep state entity that they see as being the source of your personal oppression and disappointments in life? Or are they using this deep state conspiracy theory to scare the crap out of you so that you will see them as being your savior? Even now, you are doing their bidding. Each of these conspiracy theorists express points of interest that seems to serve their personal interests, not yours. They want your participation to prop them up and support them. Their end game is either money or power or both. They're using you to achieve it. Step away from these false conspiracy theorists. Take a closer look at who and what they really are. Take a closer look at this deep state monster that they have convinced you as being the source of your pain and confusion and disappointment in life. Get a clearer picture of where you stand and fit in all of this. I assure you that you will see through their con. You will see these conspiracy theorists for who they really are. You will see that you are the author of your own destiny. You do not need them to define who you are. One of the richest experiences in this life has been to learn about the establishment of each of the 195 countries on our planet. I have studied the origins of our civilization. I learned that how we got to where we are today is a result of the human spirit driving forever forward. Each generation builds on the achievements of the one before it. I urge you to be a contributor to all that is and not a detractor. I celebrate my kinship with all humanity. I beseech you to step away from doctrines of anti-other sentiment and embrace your membership in the greatest fraternity of all, humanity. Thank you for allowing me to share.